Today on our 2018 Jayco Seneca Motorhome, we're going to take a look at the MaxxFan Plus roof vent with 12-volt fan, thermostat, and remote powered lift in smoke, part number MA00-04500K. This is what our MaxxAir vent and fan looks like when it's installed. This is going to be a great upgrade from your traditional manual vent fan that you may have in your RV or camper bathroom now. On the traditional ones, you have a knob that you have to reach up here and you have to turn to open it, and then you have a single button that you push to turn the fan on. What sets this apart from those is this fan has 10 speeds. You can go from 10% speed up to 100% speed. The cover is push button because it comes with a remote, which makes it very simple. There's no more reaching up to have to do it. Not only, as I mentioned before, does it have 10 different fan speed settings, but you can change the direction. So you can see where it says air out. It's going to automatically open the lid. We hit this button here. It's going to say air in. Fan's going to stop, go the other direction, and start pulling air in. And you can also use it as a ceiling fan. So we can close our lid and our fan's still going to operate. You're also going to have an auto mode. What that does is you notice the temperature gauge here at the top. Say you want it to be 55 degrees. Your temperature, you set the temperature to 55. You set it on auto, your fan is automatically going to come on and it's going to open by itself to cool off the inside to the temperature you have it set to. For adjusting your temperature, use the plus or minus. You notice right here on the left, it changes the temperature setting. It has a rain sensor on it. If the vent is open and it starts to rain, that vent door is automatically going to close to keep any water from getting inside your RV or camper. In the event that there's a power outage and your remote does not work, there's a button right here, not a button, but it's a knob that will let you manually open and close that lid. If for some reason the batteries go out in your remote, you have flush mounted panel right here that allows you to operate everything from the push of a button. Another really nice feature about this setup is the screen here. On the more traditional ones, they're squared and there's either two screws that hold that screen in place, or there's two clips, so you have to get a screwdriver and you have to stick them up inside and pop those clips in order to get it down. This is very simple. These little tabs, you just turn them. Just like that. You have four of them, you turn those, that screen drops out. Very simple to use. This fan setup is going to be a two-wire setup, or two-wire system, which means you're going to have a power wire and a ground wire. Very simple. You plug your power wire into the power wire on your RV, ground wire into your ground wire on your RV, and you're fully functional. As far as the fan motor goes, it's going to be fuse protected. It's going to be a ball bearing sealed to keep any dirt, debris, and moisture out. What I really like about it is this is really a no-hassle upgrade. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You simply put it in, set your settings on your remote to where you want, and it's going to do everything by itself. Open, close, adjust your air. You can leave it closed while you're gone to keep air circulating inside your RV. As far as the installation, it's very simple. You have two wires. You connect the two wires on the RV, your power and your ground, and you're fully functional. Very, very easy, simple installation. No hassle, you don't have to worry about it. The housing in the dome lid is going to be constructed of an ABS plastic, so it's going to be resistant to all weather conditions. Our dome is going to have a smoke finish, which is going to reduce the amount of sunlight allowed inside the RV. First thing we need to do to start our installation, we're going to come inside of our RV or camper. We need to remove the 4 screws holding on this cover. Now you can use a Phillips head screw, or you can see we can use a square head bit. I'm going to use a Phillips head because I'm going to have to use it for the inside also. Go ahead and remove these 4 corner screws here. Next, we're going to take the 4 screws out of our vent, and we may actually have to remove our handle. There's a Phillips screw there too. We'll go ahead and take these out first. I've gone ahead and disconnected my wires from my other fan cover. This is going to be my power wire. This is my ground. Rather than just cutting them off, I just disconnected them. The Spade connector here, and then that connector for our ground wire. I just pulled them off because if I can use them on the new one, I definitely want to do that. But if I have to splice it, I can do that later on too. Next, we need to come up on top of the RV. We need to remove the screws that are holding our vent down to our roof. Again, we can use the square bit or the Phillips head. And we're going to have several of them. You can kind of see where they're sticking up. Some of them may be underneath there. You take a putty knife and kind of clean it off around there. I'm going to take a utility knife. I'm going to cut right around this edge just to release it. Depending on what kind of roof you have, I'd watch doing this because you don't want to cut through the, if you have the rubber or synthetic rubber roof, because that roof material actually rolls underneath this. So you can see what I'm doing here. This is stuck down. So there's actually stuff called butyl tape that sticks right down along this edge that actually holds it down to the roof. So we gotta kind of take a putty knife and work your way around it to get it to release. Once we get it loose, we can pull our old vent off. There. And what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to clean off all of this sealer here. So, and we'll just take a putty knife and scrape it. Try and get most of it off if you can, because you want the new stuff to be sticking on a flat surface to make good contact, so you don't get leaks. Now that we have our old one removed, we've cleaned the surface. With our new one, we're going to need to add butyl tape on this bottom flange. We're probably going to add 2 pieces of butyl tape here side by side, just to make sure we get that good and sealed up. Our main goal is to cover up our screw holes where we're going to be drilling through and into the roof. Try to get it as close to this outside edge. Now, even though we're only going to be using these inside holes here, I'm still going to put another piece of butyl tape out here. Now we'll go ahead and pull off our paper. We'll flip it over, and you want the hinges right here to face towards the front of your camper RV. So we're going to set it down like that. Make sure it's centered there. And then again, we'll use our raised dimples as our screw holes. Well, we want to make sure this flange is plastic, so we don't want to tighten down our screws so tight that it cracks it. Problem I'm having is this RV, there's an aluminum brace that runs around the hole that's in the roof. Most of your RVs and campers have wood ones. This one has aluminum. These screws are actually breaking off because they're not able to go through that aluminum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change them out for 14 by 1.5 inch self-tapping bolts. Now you can see how I have the screws in here. They're not exactly in the right spots. I had 2 screws that broke off here, but I want to make sure that this is held down. So you can see I put them in where there's some dimples. But again, all this is going to be covered up with some self-leveling sealer. So I'm not too concerned on the way it looks now. Again, we're going to cover it all up. Now what we're going to do is take a knife, we're going to cut off the excess butyl tape around the edges. Next, we're going to put on our self-leveling sealant. I'm going to start around this edge. Now I'm going to go back, put a little bit over each of my screw holes. Now what I'm going to do is, and it's completely up to you, if you leave it like this, because this is how the directions tell you to do it. I myself am not comfortable doing it like this. I recommend getting a second tube and going right along this top edge so that that will fall into this stuff on the bottom. It's going to seal much better, and you're not going to have to worry about maybe a spot like that you may have missed. All that will be covered. You know you're going to have a good seal all the way around that edge. The plastic coating that's on here, you can take it off before or after. I like to keep it on because you can see before I was doing it, putting the butyl tape on, I had to lay the lid upright or on the top. So just so I don't scratch it. It's completely up to you. But you can take all this off whenever. We'll take our 2 wires from our fan. Go ahead and pull off our ends here. And then we're going to connect it to our 2 wires coming from the RV. Make sure it's marked positive on the fan. Here, this one's actually marked too. So if it does not have the tag on it, just make sure you're using the right one. And all we're going to do is connect the 2 with a butt connector. And same thing with the white. So here's our remote with our holder. You just need to find a place you want to put it. It's going to come with 2 screws to mount it. It's up there. I basically line the bottom of the screen with the top of this, so my buttons are in line here. Pop this out. Your screws that come in your kit. Now we're going to test out our fan and our vent cover to make sure that everything's working correctly by our remote. So our fan's off now. It's showing closed. It's actually giving us a room temperature. We're going to push the fan on. You can hear it running. It's opening the lid. Shows our fan speed is set at 50%. We can actually up that to 100. You can hear it. Sounds pretty good. Go ahead and lower that. Goes down to 10%. We can do a reverse where right now we have it set where it says air out. If we hit this button here, it'll actually switch it. It'll stop the fan. It'll turn it the other way and actually pull air into the RV. Push the on off button. It's going to automatically close the lid and turn the fan off. So now we know our fan works. However, this switch has to be turned on in order for our fan to get power. That's the only thing it does is give our fan power. We have to control the fan with our controller. It makes no sense to be able to use this switch just to send power to the fan. Another reason, the fan has a rain sensor on it. So if you open it, you happen to walk off but actually turn the switch off, that sensor is not going to work because the fan's not getting power. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this off. I'm going to take the 12 volt lead and then the power wire that's going up to the fan. I'm going to connect the 2 together so that the fan has constant power all the time, and it'll make this a dummy switch where it won't work anymore. So the power wire going to our fan is going to be this yellow wire. The green wire is the power wire coming from our battery or 12 volt feed. Here's our yellow wire connected to going up to our fan. So we're going to unplug these 2 and we're just going to connect them together. I'm going to take our yellow and green wire, put it together like that. Go ahead and put a 10 to 12 gauge butt connector because these wires are pretty thick. Bit down. Get our green wire in. Go ahead and test it out again. We'll turn our power back on. We should be able to just use the remote to get our fan to work. We won't be able to use the switch. Fan on. It's opening. and off it's closing, and then we'll have the same normal functions as we did before. So my extra wire, you can see I have it taped. I just taped it together, kind of bundle it up, and I took my wires coming from my switch and I just tucked them down inside this aluminum bracing here. This I got it sitting right up against the foam, so that when I put my cover in, because it has to go on the outside of it, I can slide it right in like that. Now, about the cover. It comes with a new cover, like this. However, you can see our fan kind of leans. It slopes down on the roof. The old cover that he had in here has already been cut to fit in there. So I'm just going to use it because there's nothing wrong with it. If yours is damaged, again, it's going to come with a new one, but it will have to be cut to size. And you can just cut that with a utility knife. So as far as our screen, you have little tabs here. Going to make sure those tabs are turned out. And slide it into place. We're going to turn these in like that. That is going to lock our screen in place. Much easier than the older ones. That'll do it for a look at and installation on the MaxxFan Plus roof vent, part number MA00-04500K on our 2018 Jayco Seneca Motorhome.